trying to be careful and smarter.
How concerned are you about that injury long term that he's got?
Right now, I'm not that concerned. Hopefully, it's not too long, but not that concerned.
Thiago, can you offer insight into, is that something that he hurt in his previous game, or is it something that had been a build-up thing for him, or?
Honestly, I don't know, Joe. I think he flares up, a couple days ago, and that's it. But I'm not sure if it was, start from a small thing and went to more, but so just trying to be smart there, long season, and be careful.
Has Drew been able to do any more behind the scenes in the last week or so?
He's working out, but not ready to compete, to be honest.
What about Tease?
He's also working out, some strides there, but not ready yet.
I asked you about this after the last game, but you guys had another sort of challenging run with getting the ball in late. Obviously, you don't have a ton of practice time, but how do you sort of emphasize those things, and what are you trying to sort of get out of them?
So, pretty simple. So we kind of have a play that we do for those plays, a get-in play. We didn't have any issues still that game against Sac. We work on it, we talk about it, we watch film, we went to the court, even though it was not 100% pace type of thing. And then, it was a weird situation where it was a challenge. The ball was ours. I thought about, calling another timeout and then advance to the other side. But we use the same play. Basically, you screen one guy get open, another guy go to the opposite side. And we talk about it, we work on it. Didn't grab the ball against them again, and a turnover. So, gotta get better. We gotta, make sure in those moments when your heart rate is 200, we gotta do the right pass, catch the ball, be strong with the ball. Like I said, gotta learn from those.
Thiago, in spite of being shorthanded so much of the season, you guys are number one in the league in clutch game opportunities. How do you kind of work through those?
Are we?
Yeah.
No.
You played the most so far, yeah. So
Okay.
it was 14 when I looked
I
earlier.
guess it's the experience. Right?
With that, like, is that just getting guys more used to it? Is it like how do you find yourself on the other side of that? You mean as a player, is that an experience thing, or is that just kind of the luck of the draw sometimes?
Honestly, I didn't have that feeling. I have the feeling that we screw a lot of those situations. But like I said, we're trying to learn from them. Try to understand what's going on in the court, use the shot clock, spacing, where is everybody, foul situation, when can we foul, when they're going to foul, when they're going to blitz one time, and then try to foul. So be smart about those. Who is going to catch the ball? You want your best free throw shooters to catch the ball. So yeah, that's something that we are working on, and teach these guys how to get better.
You've talked about the guys growing and learning from some of these experiences. How do you feel like you've grown as a head coach since you took over at the beginning of the season to now?
Same thing. Sometimes you think they already know those things, and it's my mistake. I gotta tell them, even thinking that I know what to do, but I gotta tell them every time. And sometimes I didn't, and that's my mistake. You gotta keep telling what to do. Use the shot clock every time. Doesn't matter if you think they know or not. You gotta tell them. So those little things I'm learning, and just getting better at it.
How do you balance, like you guys want to play fast or just with pace in the half court, but how do you balance when you do need to sort of take the air out of the ball in the final 3.5 minutes?
Exactly what you say. Like, we want to play fast, but when you have the score in our side, when we have the game going to 2-3 minutes, that's when you got to slow down. The numbers say that, but also you want to take a good shot, which is tricky, right? Like, if you watch yesterday, Houston, not to say anything, but they also used the clock. But then you want to have a good shot, not just a step back three or a forced shot. So those are the situation where the all-stars, the players that been in these situations know how to handle the best, right? And we have two players right now, Shaden and Denny, that they are going to be in this situation and they are learning how to play against, those defenses, the shot clock, what's going on, what's the scoreboard. So I sit down with both of them. Guys, we got to learn this. Now, you guys in this position, you guys are young, but still, you got to learn and go through it. And nothing better than playing minutes, real minutes, to learn from it.
You pretty consistently have fouled a 2 to get to
A three.
free throw. Yeah, a 3. Is that just a philosophy, and is that just an automatic for you, or how do you base those decisions on?
Yeah, that's something that I think is the best. The shot clock, the clock is tricky a little bit when you foul. But yeah, most of the time I like to foul.
Just because of the analytics of it all, or?
Analytics, I don't want them to, shoot a 3 and I don't like it.
With Drew out and you guys having some struggles getting the ball in, could you see yourself changing that philosophy, or are you going to just stick with it?
I'm going to stick. I want them to get better. I think that's the best for us. Like I said, we can make mistakes, but, we won the games, which is the important part. So, and great time for learning. I think I said this a couple of times already, but when you can learn from those mistakes and win the game is even better.
Thiago, today is obviously a reunion of the 2000 Western Conference Final team. What does a kid in Brazil do? Or did you watch the team? Are you familiar? Yeah?
Yeah,
What are
I
your
remember
memories of
watching them. I was a big fan of Sabonis and just watching them, because when you're a kid, not American kid, you try to put yourself on players from outside of U.S., right? Like playing the NBA. I remember watching him and trying to do the things that he did. Of course, I didn't get close, but it was awesome to see him playing, and that team was special.
You were also on a team, I mean, you guys did win championships, but you were on a team that was a quarter away from winning a championship and then lost in the fourth quarter to Miami Heat. Like, that's gonna be, does that stick with you all these years
For
later?
sure.
I know these guys it does.
For sure. And I'm very lucky to won that year after, right? Like, if not, I think I feel miserable. But yeah, you learn from those games, and it's hard. It's hard.
What is just sort of the general fraternity of those type of teams? Like, how close are you still with those Spurs groups?
I'm close. It's funny that you say, like, sometimes I think you were close because you won together, or you won because you were close, right? Like the chicken and the egg thing. But no, those years were special. We still close. We still talk. We have some, WhatsApp groups and all that. So, here and there we crack a joke or something. But yeah, we're close.
Thiago, Freeman stole my first question, but based on your answer, I wasn't here for the Sacramento game, but you would have preferred that they had fouled rather than let DeRozan shoot that 3?
We said that we want to foul. The thing is, if you watch the play, it was kind of like Danny deflected. It was kind of like a lucky pass to DeRozan, and I think Chris was just not expecting that pass. It was too fast, and then he pump fake, of course, and he hit a shot. But I asked them to foul for sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thiago.
Thank you.
So in 5 minutes.
And there you hear from head coach Thiago Splitter ahead of the game tonight, and you heard him mention that no Jeremy Grant tonight, something they're not too worried about right now as he's dealing with left Achilles soreness. You want to make sure that he is in line, ready to go. You don't want to be injured moving forward, but they're definitely not too concerned right now, which is good, and then hopefully you get some of those other players back relatively quickly as well. This is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. You can join the conversation with me. 503-248-0620 is the phone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, or text us on the text line 88528 and join the conversation there. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, talk more about this game, talk about this Detroit Piston team who's been very impressive this season. And they had a game earlier that the Blazers could have won. Maybe they can get it this time around against a very impressive Detroit Piston team. So we'll talk about it when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
Welcome back into the Blazers game day. Chris Burkhardt here with you up outside section C31, or entry C31, section 330, getting you ready for Blazers versus Pistons tonight here at Moda Center. First game of a 5-game homestand for your Portland Trail Blazers. And it's going to be a tough test, again, against a good Detroit Pistons team, a Detroit Piston team that comes in relatively healthy. Jalen Duren is listed as day-to-day, but probable for today's game. Ronald Holland does have a knee injury, is doubtful for tonight's game. As for the Blazers, you know how it goes, injuries on injuries on injuries, so they are definitely going to be depleted. And as someone mentioned on the text line, I wonder if Sabonis has one more quarter in him. Wouldn't it be great? Hey, just one more, Sabas. Come on. And the thing is, if you know Arvydas Sabonis and you know your Blazer history and you know those teams from the late 90s, you know that it doesn't matter if the knees are shot or not, because he doesn't even need to get on the court. He can just throw the full court inbounds pass and they can just beat the buzzer, right? Just do your thing. Show us what you got, Sabas. And I don't know if he's going to be here tonight. Do know Bonzi Wells, Damon Stoudemire, Mike Dunleavy, and Steve Smith will be here. They'll be talking to members of the media in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes time down there in the media room. If there is audio available, we will try to play it. That is a big if. Michael Shacker working extra hard over there behind the scenes trying to see if he can get it done. But yeah, tonight is a big night for the Blazers, not only the current iteration, but a chance to pay some respects to the 99-2000s team that were just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. An era that, a lot of people remember for various reasons, but as I mentioned earlier, for some of us, it was the guys that really got us in love with the game. Right? I loved Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith was great. I know Greg Anthony may be around. He was wonderful. And you look through those teams of the old 90s, like, oh my gosh, I loved Derek Anderson too. So those teams were wonderful. And you can't even talk about that team, and you didn't mention Scottie Pippen or Arvydas Sabonis when you're actually talking about those guys. So yeah, love those teams, love that era, and to have them in the house tonight is going to be pretty awesome, pretty cool. Now, can they get the win against the Detroit Pistons, a team that, once again, they're good. They're 22-6 coming into this game. They are, the top of the Eastern Conference. We know that much. We know that that's where they stand. They are 2 games ahead of New York, who's 20-8, and they are 5 games ahead of Boston, who's currently in third, who the Blazers will see in a few games at 17-11. So you look at 22-6, the second best record in the NBA behind only the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you're like, that's a really good team. And they are. We aren't here to take anything away from the Detroit Pistons. They have victories over some good teams. But over their stretch of games, they did set or tie a team record with 13 straight wins, and they've had some good wins here lately. They are playing some of the worst teams in the league. During that 13-game win streak that they had wins over Dallas, they had wins over Utah, they had wins over Brooklyn, they had wins over Washington, they had wins over Indiana, Milwaukee without Giannis, another game over Indiana. And so they've been playing a lot of the lower-end teams, if you will. Now, they did lose to Dallas just a few games ago, and then they rebound with a win over Charlotte, and Charlotte right now, 4th worst team in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks, who they had 2 wins over in that stretch, 5th worst team in the Eastern Conference. The Nets, the Pacers, and the Wizards are 3-2-1 when it comes to the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. So they have been winning games at a high clip, but they haven't been playing the non-stomp gauntlet of the top teams in their conference. You don't see a ton of games against the Knicks. You have a few games against the Celtics, and you haven't seen that where the Blazers have 3 games already against the Oklahoma City Thunder, with a 4th coming up before we turn the calendar to 2026. That's a whole different ballgame. So you would hope that even though their record says they're good, they're gettable. They were gettable when Portland met up with them a few weeks ago in Detroit in a game that the Blazers kind of let get away. They had their chances late, and then Detroit was able to say, you know what, we're not going to let this game slip away, and that's what happened. That was back on December 5th when the Pistons grabbed a 122-116 victory over the Trailblazers, and they beat the Blazers points in the paint. Second chance points was pretty even. Bench points was even. Portland had 20 turnovers to the 14 of Detroit, but Detroit went out there. They shot 46% from the floor to just the 42% of the Blazers. They were out-rebounded by Portland. You look at the turnover numbers overall, not the team turnovers, the personal turnovers, it was 17-13 in favor of the Blazers. Not a big margin there. The Blazers shot the ball decently. There was just a lot there. They're like, okay, Portland was in this game. They could have won this game, but they kind of let it slip away there in the fourth quarter when Detroit said, no, you know what? Especially late, we're going to take this game away from you. We're going to take your chance. They outscored them 38-31 in the fourth quarter alone. So Portland proved right there that they can hang. So now it's just a matter of doing it for the full 48 minutes back on your home court, take advantage of that, and take a team that is, again, top of the Eastern Conference, but absolutely beatable. They are beatable. So can you get them on the off day? When you looked at that schedule like I talked about a second ago, 2 games ago, they lost to Dallas. A Dallas team that has been struggling to find their footing and find who they are this year. Now they're starting to play a little bit better. They're 11-18. They're in that conversation with the Blazers, right there on the cusp of being a play-in team or not. Blazers with a 1.5 game lead over Dallas, which means that Portland is also that type of team that can go out in there and dethrone the Pistons for a night, even if it's just a night. You can enjoy that night. Do it in front of the old school Blazers and have a little fun, right? Have a little fun. That's the gist of it. A very, very good Pistons team, but not like just impenetrable. Not a team that you look at as like just an absolute juggernaut of a team. Like if you're telling me right now it's the NBA Finals and it's the Pistons versus the Thunder, who you taking? It's like I'm taking the Thunder in 4. Oh, it's the Pistons versus the Nuggets. The Nuggets get out of the Eastern Conference. Who you taking? Or the Western Conference. I'm taking the Nuggets. Pistons versus San Antonio. Who you take? I'm taking San Antonio. Like the Pistons are good. They are good, but they are not a juggernaut. They have flaws. They have ways to be beaten, and Portland can take advantage of that tonight. It's going to be on the glass, and it's going to be pushing that tempo, playing within your comfort zone. You heard Tiago Splitter talk about it early. Like they want to play fast. But you need to be smart within that playing fast, and he was talking about Denny Avdia as an example. You know, you're going down and you're taking shots with 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Be smart. Use that clock to your advantage at times. It's not just you can play fast without taking a shot early in the shot clock. Look at like a Golden State, who during their prime run was incredibly fast. And it wasn't just about pushing the tempo in a way that like the Phoenix Suns did with Mike D'Antoni. It was about the constant ball movement, that even in the half-court set, their half-court sets were fast. So they were always playing fast basketball. Being smart with the clock in doing so, though. And that's what something Tiago Splitter said. You got to be smarter in those situations, and we're going to learn. Now, you can only go and learn for so long. At some point, you got to stop learning and you got to take the test. You're sitting in class and you're prepping for the midterm or you're prepping for the final. The teacher does not put the final off forever and just keep teaching and you just keep learning. You got to take the test. And so you would hope that tonight is used like that. Be the test. Show what you've learned over these last 2 games. Show what you've learned when you've made those mistakes, how they've made you better, which is what Coach says you need to do. How have you gotten better from those games against Sacramento, or whether it was Tumani Kamara or Chris Murray or Sidi Sissoko, given the situation? How have you got better when it comes to inbound passing and not turning the ball over? How have you got better as the guy on the court who's getting that pass as to make sure that ball is secured? How have you gotten better to listen to your coach and understand, down late, similar like the DeMar DeRozan play, and yes, it played out a little bit different. He explained it, but, situations when you want to foul or not. And you could see during that first game against Sacramento here, there was plenty of times late in that game where he was like yelling at Denny Avdia to get across the court and get where they wanted to be offensively, not taking your time. Again, play fast, do those things. So how much have you learned, and how can you translate that to actually starting to win ball games? Take the test, right? No more worrying about it. Okay, I got class 3 times this week, and then it's the weekend. No, you got your midterm. So it's time to take the test. No more learning. We can learn a little more after. Take the test, though. See what you got. This is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also hit us up on the text line, 88528, or go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio as well. Hope everyone's having a nice, I would say, start to the festivities for the holiday week here for everyone, for Christmas, having a good end to wrapping up Hanukkah as well. It's a fun time of year for everybody. So hope everyone's enjoying it and having some great time with some family and friends and getting ready to hopefully watch a Blazers victory tonight. Speaking of which, how will the Blazers win? We'll let you know. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's our time for keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to beat the Detroit Pistons? We'll let you know. Continue to get you ready for Blazers vs. Pistons here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
And we had a great run, and with the guys we had on our team, we played every night. We threw out a group of guys that really gave a big effort. I felt like we were a very deep team, and every night somebody had if you just look at our scoring, like our leading scorer, I think was Rashid. I don't remember, like 17 points a game. We had 5 or 6 guys in double figures. We shared the ball. We played both ends of the floor. I think we were like 3rd in offense and 5th in defense. And the one thing I always talked about was if you had a chance to win a championship, you had to be in the top 10. I don't know how many teams have ever won a championship without being in the top 10 in defense. And we joke around about it now, but we had a million coverages, and that was my philosophy, was that you never know who you're going to run into in the playoffs, and you got to be able to change up on people, and I think we did that. Then we gave a great effort. And obviously that series, getting down 3-1, it showed our mettle. Showed who we were about. A lot of teams would have, folded. I mean, like Lakers won 67 games that year. I think we were second with 59. So you got Kobe, you got Shaq. A lot of people would say, all right, that's it. We missed our opportunity, but our guys fought back hard, and obviously we had that 7th game where we played lights out, and really, like, even in that 4th quarter, we were up 13, and first play went to Steve, and he scored down in the post. We were up 15, and then we went through that stretch where we missed 13 straight shots, and of those 13 shots, 11 of them were great, 2 of them were good. I mean, one of them, when I say good, it was a wide open, long range shot by Scotty. I mean, he could make one. That 4th quarter, we had 1 turnover, and we had 1 missed defensive assignment. When I brought Sheed back in the game, he missed. He was late getting out of the post on a rotation to the corner for Brian Shaw in the corner. Other than that, we played a great game. And so anyway, I've got great memories about the team and that series, and we felt like that series was going to be the championship.
Steve, do you have photographic memory like that about the fourth quarter? Like, do you relive that game?
I have bad memories. I'll start off, we were cheated. But other than that, I think what we remember by is probably one of the most talented groups in NBA history. Coach said it, unselfish, no one had egos. We played the game because we had a great feel. If Damon was going, the ball was going to Damon. If Bonzi was going, it was going to Bonzi. So I don't think we knew she was our best player, and obviously she would get his, but it was so many guys that understood the game of basketball where we didn't have to have that much communication, which was a treat for me. I had been around a long time. You know, Damon, one of the smartest point guards. That's why he's a coach now. Just understood. You take a guy that had the ball in his hand probably his whole life, but was just effective without the ball in his hand, could play, you know, multiple ways to win games. So that's the one thing I tell my kids, that, you know, I felt like we were NBA 2K. You could play Bonzi at the 5 if you had to. You could play Bonzi at the 1. And I think Mike had that luxury of saying we were so interchangeable.
But do you relive Game 7 like Mike?
I've only watched it once. I relived it then. Try not to forget it, but I remember all the little things that could have turned the series in that game. But I think even going back some of the games before that.
Damon, have you rewatched that game, and what do you think of most when you think about that series?
I haven't watched it.
No, just can't do it.
I just, it's hard. Like, it just, I don't. Most of the fellas that I've talked to, they haven't watched it. They don't watch it. If I see it on television, I turn it.
Do you guys talk about it when you get together, like if you meet up like this?
We talked about it last night.
Yeah, well, we talk. Yeah.
You talked about Steve going down the middle with 34 seconds and getting planted by Shaq, and I told a story about the next year when I was in the meeting with the all the referees, and I never complained. Literally, back in the day, I never called into the league office and, you know, cried to anybody. But somebody made a smart comment about our team, and I put them all on the spot. I said, okay, one of you guys stand up. You swear to me on the lives of your kids and your grandkids. Somebody tell me that was not a foul. Not one guy. After the fact, I wish we had challenge flags back then, you know. I would have thrown one there, and I would have thrown one on Sabonis's 5th foul. You know, I mean, if you go back and you look at that season, we played those guys 11 times. And the plus-minus when Sabonis was on the floor versus them, like, we killed him. You know, I mean, he got his foul 5 was, you know, whatever. It is what it is. But 5 fouls, definitely a phantom. And 6, you'd have to look at it and say, okay, where did he foul him? But I want to tell you one good story, though, because he's not here, about Rasheed Wallace, because, you know, he set the world record for technical fouls, 41 under my watch, you know. But Rasheed was one of my favorite players. And before I came here, because I played in Philly, I played in the Baker League, you know, that's where he's from. And I talked to a lot of people about him, and I knew him as a player. And I don't know any player that didn't love Rasheed. You know, Rasheed, you know, practiced all the time. He was always a team guy, and he was always about everybody else getting credit, you know, not so much him. But this is one of my favorite stories. Coming out of huddle, going into huddle, down 1, we got the last possession, and I'm like, okay, I'm going Rasheed on that left box. So we go into the huddle, and I said, okay, Sheed, we're going to run this play, and Pip, you coming off for Sheed, and we're going to dump it down into Rasheed. Rasheed, turn right shoulder and just end this thing. He goes, Coach, no, I don't want it. Give it one of the other guys. Now, a lot of people would take that as, damn, guy didn't want the shot at the end of the game. But I knew that wasn't true about him. I mean, I just knew that he always wanted to deflect and he wanted to be the center of attention. So I said, oh, okay, no problem. I said, okay, so Pip, you're going to come off of, off of Sheet, send him a good screen. Damon, you put the ball in the money and let Pip knock down that, 17-footer. We go home. Walk down the corner. I said to Damon and Pip, come here. If either one of you two guys even think about shooting the ball, I will kill you. Throw it into Sheed. Throws it into Sheed, right shoulder, turn around, game over. But a lot of people don't know that about him, and I think I just want to set things straight about really what a great team player he was. 'Cause a lot of people saw him out there and being this angry guy and getting teased all the time, but he was a main fiber of our team, obviously by his statistics, but just even from a standpoint of just who he was and how he was felt about, by his teammates.
Monty, I think you still interact with Rasheed. How do you think he feels about Portland and how he was received?
Oh, I know she loves Portland, and he really wanted to be here. He just had some other obligations, but Rasheed, if you know Rasheed, is to love Rasheed, and if you can get in his inner circle, you can really learn who the essence of Rasheed is. And deep down inside, I know Rasheed loved his time here. He appreciated everybody here. He appreciated the fans. If you remember Rasheed, he did so many different things in the community. If you know Rasheed, that was just him, who he is as a person and as a man. And I just think, I wish he could have been here, because I know that just him being celebrated out here, is just good for him and everything he's been going through the last couple of years. He lost his mom a couple years ago, so he's been going through a lot. So I thought this would have been great for him just to feel that love, because I know, it would have been special for him.
Is there a player on that 2000 team that you guys feel like, maybe even somebody that hasn't come up yet today, is there somebody that you feel like doesn't get enough credit for what they brought to the team or what they did?
You can look at every one of them and feel that way, because everybody had the ability to, if it was about stats and numbers, to do so much more. We went in. I told us I think it was David and Steve this morning. I said we had so many guys, and I was a matchup attack guy. If Steve or Bonzi had somebody, we'd post those guys up, or Damon in the pick and roll, somebody weak in the pick and roll. We'd run 100 pick and rolls that night. And then the next morning, when I'd come in to our staff, I'd say to our first thing I'd ask the guys, like, who hates me this morning? who didn't get their numbers last night? In a kidding way, because everybody was willing to defer, but you always wanted to, the next night is like, okay, well, let me run 2 plays for that guy to make sure that he knows that we're together, we love each other, and we're gonna play that way.
The biggest thing about this group was that everybody supported each other, and I don't think enough was talked about that. And you have to understand, when this team was put together, everybody was coming from their place as a number 1 option, and so there was going to be some sacrifice, and the sacrifice was on the run. And so the things that and the narratives that were put out at times, they were just ahead of their times, and at times they were created, right? They were created by outside forces. When I was in Boston, it was crazy to me as a coach that everybody put this wedge between Jason and JB, and I got there and I never seen it. And so
what will it take for a Trailblazers victory tonight?
All right, we had to cut that off because we're up against the clock, but time now for our keys to the game. And big shout out to Michael Shacker for getting the audio up there. But simple, Pistons rebound well, and they steal the ball a lot. You got to find a way to be active on the glass. As one of our texters said, the rim general, Donovan Clingan, he's going to have to make it an issue tonight. That's right, he's going to have to have a big night. All right, got to get out of here. Chad is waiting over there for the Trailblazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. And then, of course, tip-off at 7 with your radio voice of the Trailblazers, Travis Demers, on the call. And when it's all said and done, keep it locked in here to Rip City Radio for the 5th quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers victory. Blazers Pistons coming up all right here on Rip City Radio. We'll talk to you after the game.